troisième match dans la série, or the turd game. It was a turd of a game. You know, it wasn't really. It was tough to watch, aggravating, but it was a tight one. And the Montreal Canadiens looked like they had won it there for a second. But we have to talk about this game. So let's talk about it.
These 2 points.
Game 3 of the series, Montreal back in Montreal. Game 2 was a close one, although Montreal didn't put up the shots, didn't give themselves the best chance that they could have in order to beat the Hurricane. They kept it tight and there were some shots off the iron, but before the game I put out a primer and I said one of the things they really needed to focus on was racking shots up on Anderson, who is a very beatable goaltender that's having a run of excellent performances in these playoffs. Carolina Hurricane play a suffocating style of game. It's often why a lot of the criticism falls under they're a boring team to watch. Boring, but disciplined. The thing is, game 1 of this series and throughout the regular season, Montreal figured out Carolina. Could they put it all together in game 3? Well, no, they couldn't. And in fact, the things that I said were the keys to success, they didn't execute on them. So we will talk all about that. But first, thank you again for your continued support. If you're not already a subscriber here, please consider subscribing. I'd love to have you as part of this community. Everyone else, hit the like button because it does something that I don't really know exactly what it does specifically. So, pour la formation de départ, c'est le même groupe que le match dernier. Dernier match? The lineup was the same as the last game. You know the guys. Game starts off, good pace for both teams. Carolina continues their north is the only way ahead mantra. Definitely winning the tug of war against the Canadiens, keeping the Canadiens primarily in their zone. It's a huge problem, obviously. Certainly one of the keys of success is to find a way to get into Carolina's zone and keep the puck there. But at around the 15-minute mark, Chatfield takes an interference call. Montreal is going to go to the power play. First unit, man, absolute giveaway and turnover fest. Lacking execution, like very disappointing to see. The second unit comes on and they do get a good opportunity before the power play is terminated. Then, this was great to see, Matheson drives the zone, gets hit, makes a play, gets up, and then almost hits the top corner. Matheson had a good game this game, but before the 10-minute mark, Carolina is going to strike.
He has yet to find the mark in the postseason. The centering pass to Kataoka.
Gostisbehere, 1-0. Line 4 continuing to have some issues with possession and urgency in their own end. This was also very avoidable. The puck squirts out here. Doc does block the shot, but I think it gets deflected off of his skate, gets to Gostisbehere, who is attacking from the point, and he puts it in. It was a combination of some hard work by Carolina, some lazy work by the Montreal Canadiens, and some flukiness combined with Gostisbehere being assertive and going in for the kill. So 1-0 Carolina. Montreal certainly doesn't give up at this point though. Slav misses the net backdoor. Anderson with a scrambling pad save here. So Montreal is getting opportunities. These are not counting as shots though. And now line 4 is trying something. Call this maybe revenge, or maybe they're playing mad a little bit. Sadly, it doesn't continue throughout the game. Now Svechnikov elbows Caulfield in the head here. Extends his elbow trying to, this looks like he's trying to hurt him. No call though, obviously. Why would they call something like this? Caulfield goes off. Anderson jumps on with the first line and he's out there for a reason. Anderson hits Hall, the ref, and whoever this other Carolina player is. Pretty impressive. A three-piece. Again, this was cool. It would have been cooler if this type of physicality continued throughout the game. But it does give Montreal a little bit of momentum and leads to this.
Steals the puck. Gets it to Demidov. Here's a chance.
Matheson, 1-1. Told you, he's having a good game. Evans battles for the puck here, gets it to Demidov, who slings it to Matheson, puts it in. Beautiful shot by Matheson. Tied at 1. However, the celebration would be short.
Comment today, here's a chance at
Hall, 2-1. Another pretty fluky goal. Puck bounces off the wall. Anderson couldn't predict this, obviously, but can't get in front of his guy. I wouldn't even say this is his fault. He should have been closer to his guy, but he gets, I think it's Miller. He gets it in front. The puck is banged at and it finds its way past Dobes. Taylor Hall making it 2-1. Dobes making big saves. That's throughout this game, and it's almost like something you have to predict at this point. Dobes is keeping Montreal in this series, but Gouli's going to head to the box. He gets frustrated when he loses his guy, so Montreal will need to kill off a power play with 59 seconds remaining. And they make it to the second period, but Carolina does get a lot of shots in there, kind of a flurry on Dobes there near the end of the first. We head into the second period, still on the power play. Ehlers prances into the zone without very much problem, gets a good chance on Dobes, but Dobes stands tall. And now Lane Hutson. You really feel like he's getting targeted. Caulfield as well. Hutson out there absorbing some hits. You really wish you had more players out there defending your young, small talent like Hutson and Caulfield. But Hutson does all right by himself. I wish the knees wouldn't come up so often. I wish the elbows wouldn't come out so often. Hutson does draw a penalty here. Montreal goes to the power play again. Let's see if it looks a little bit better than their first attempt.
Pretty big wingspan here for that, but here's Caulfield. Lane Hutson.
And speaking of Hutson and Caulfield, they combine efforts here to say, hey, if you give us the opportunity, we're going to make you look stupid. Played with their food a little bit here. It's so fluid. This looks so natural. How come they can't do this in normal transition play, a 5-on-5? These past two games, this one and the one previous, completely different from the first game. And yeah, you can chalk it up for being rusty on Carolina's part, but I think it comes down to pace. And Montreal is not trusting themselves. I'll get more onto that. Hutson taken out behind the play here. I don't know how they keep getting away with this. Knee definitely comes up here. No penalty called, by the way. Then this would continue throughout the game. But now the first line, total brain fart. They allow the Canes to go on a partial 3-on-1, but Dobes again comes up big. And despite all that, Montreal looks like they've found their pace in this short amount of time. And with Montreal buzzing, Demidov is going ahead of the play here, but they call it offside. This was not offside. There was a lot of momentum here, I felt, for the Canadiens. And then everything after this, it settles down and turns right into Carolina's play. Doesn't help that what happens next is an unacceptable mistake by Gouli, who loses Svechnikov, takes a penalty, and then gives up on the play. On the penalty kill, no doubt here that Evans saves a goal. Huge block by Evans. You really like what you're seeing from Evans defensively. And the whole team for that matter. There's tons of block shots. I just wish they'd play a more physical style of defense. Suzuki, Slav, Caulfield, and Dobson creating something on the offensive zone. Incredible tip from Dobson to Caulfield as well here, but it doesn't find its way past Anderson, who is looking hurried. For as much as Dobes has looked good during these past two games, Anderson, not so much on the other side, right? But Montreal always seems to be trying to find those quality shots and complicate the game as much as possible. Now, Walker runs Dobes here, and believe it or not, this would result on a 4-on-4. This was ridiculous. This is, man, the officiating was poor this game. It gets really bad in overtime. But looking at this with a bird's eye view, it's hard to argue that this should not be a man advantage for Montreal. But with less than 2 minutes left on the 4-on-4, Suzuki does this for some reason.
Why do you keep doing that?
And skyrockets my cortisol levels, just like leaping through my body. That's going to do it for the second period. We head to the third period. I'm not going to go over the third period in high detail. It was a snooze fest. 7 shots in total, 1 by Montreal. I will say they did not register a couple of shots this period for Montreal. A couple shots would have went in if Anderson wouldn't have played them. I find that very strange. Is there somebody in Vegas, a bookie in Vegas, that are manipulating these shot counts? I will talk about one thing that happened in the third, and it's pretty pivotal.
Noah Dobson looking for his first Stanley Cup playoff goal. Here he comes. In front.
Dobson makes it 3-2, seemingly putting Montreal up around the halfway mark in period 3, a very important goal. However, we are subjected to the universally hated coach's challenge. They determined that Caulfield hasn't touch the puck. It appears that the blue line fades to white before he does get it on his blade. But this so clearly exhibits my frustrations with these coaches' challenges. And if you have been part of this channel for a while now, you don't need to listen to it. You could probably fast forward 2 minutes, because unless you're new here, you know my feelings about this. The league says they have the best officiating in the world, but this whole process flies in the face of that. The amount of calls that are missed and not reviewable, doubtlessly leading to standing implications, leading to maybe the decision of a series in the playoffs. For me, it's all or nothing. The coach's challenge is a half measure. The thought is that this will lead to the correct call on certain plays, and maybe that would lead to less frustration from the fans. However, I think that the opposite effect is happening, leading to less goals in what the league doesn't want to do. And furthermore, this doesn't help the game become any more fair. The game is already not fair with game management, makeup calls, the politics and bureaucracy of the officiating in the NHL. Until they can figure out a way to make the game fair that doesn't extend the game into next week because of all the reviews of every single penalty or no call during each play, get rid of the freaking coach's challenge. If you really don't trust your officials, NHL, then get them better trained, recruit better, younger officials, some that might have better reaction time.
One eternity later.
Create a system perhaps, unlike the system for players getting drafted and so on. Draft the best officials, hold them accountable, review their metrics, keep metrics on them, how often they're right on a call, how often they're wrong on a call, how often they miss a call, how often they get the call right. Give them report cards. Anyway, rant done. So regulation time solves nothing. They go to overtime. Overtime, Montreal comes out hot. Suzuki beats Anderson, but goes just wide. And then Matheson puts the shot off the crossbar. Feels like if they keep this up, they'll certainly win. The Matheson shot, I'm telling you, was so close, truly very close to being barred down. In overtime, as I mentioned, lots of missed penalties. Some bad ones on Montreal, Matheson getting hooked, Hutson getting tripped. The trip was very apparent. But then Carolina, I don't blame you for getting mad about this one. Very ugly. Obviously, this is a makeup call. Too many men not being called on Montreal. But ultimately, Hutson would turn the puck over on a very casual pass here. Weirdly casual by Hutson. That zone time would lead to the overtime winner.
Jarvis back to Svechnikov. Score!
Svechnikov, the puck would get tipped in front on either Slav or Dobes and go in. This was bound to happen, though, when you get this amount of shots. I mean, Carolina played the game correctly, and they beat the Canadiens. That's that. Yeah, overtime was very poorly officiated for both teams, but this was obviously more sour for the Canadiens fans. So they play again on Wednesday in Game 4, but Montreal now has a heck of a mountain to climb. The ask is that they win 2 in a row now. They've only won 2 in a row once during this playoff season. And this is the first time that they lost 2 in a row. So I'm not sure how that makes you feel, but it makes me feel discouraged. Unless there is a drastic change in Game 4, in some ways I feel that the writing is on the wall. Dobes can't carry this team to the finals. There needs to be more players chipping in offensively. They might be doing a good job defensively, although there's a lot of shots being put on goal. But in terms of offense, I see Hutson out there, Danault, Suzuki, Anderson, Texier, Bolduc, Matheson, Newhook, Demidov. Slav is not doing the things he's best at. Caulfield is not given time and space to do the things that he's best at. So they need to leverage what they can get going. And everyone needs to chip in just a little bit more. That's going to do it for me, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have more to talk about. I might do another video tonight, get my thoughts all out. There is some silver lining. Montreal knows what they're doing wrong. In the high danger opportunities, the disparity is marginal. Like I said, they just need a little bit more from each guy. And Martin St. Louis said that they're learning about themselves. And maybe the big thing that they're realizing is that at this type of game, at this time of year, the discipline level needs to be elite. And because of how Carolina plays, and because they play that same style game in, game out, their discipline level is super high. They kind of keep things simple. All right, take care of yourselves. I'll see you again soon. Message me in the comments. Maybe give me your thoughts. Positive thoughts would be great. And I hope you're doing well. Take care of yourselves. You guys know what to do. Like the video. Helps me out with something or other. Subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I'd love to have you. And as always, I will see you down in the comments.